Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with a weekly reads video. This is for June the 27th through July the 3rd. So today is the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day, 4th of July to all my American friends out there. Happy America Day. My husband and I were joking about that the other day because on Thursday was Canada Day. So we said, well, we're just going to call it America Day on the 4th. So happy 4th of July to all of my American friends. So yeah, I had a really good reading week. Unfortunately, none of the books I'm going to share with you did I finish in the month of July. Well, today's only the 4th, so there's still time, of course. I've got lots of time to finish July books, but everything that I finished was all finished in June. So you'll notice that I did not do a Friday reads this week, and that's because I've been vlogging all weekend. So I thought if I did a Friday reads, it was kind of a bit of overkill. You know, considering I was vlogging on Friday, I vlogged Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then today, and you'll see that video tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. So I had a 6-book reading week this week. Timestamps will be listed below if you want to go ahead and jump ahead to any part of the video. And I did DNF a book yesterday. I DNF'd a book that I started in July, and I'm going to actually talk about that one first because let's get the bad stuff out of the way, and then we'll get into the books that I actually did finish. So cheers this morning, you guys. I have my coffee in my oh-so-giant Peeps mug that I love. So Garrett and I went to the grocery store on Friday after work, and I needed more coffee creamer, and they had pumpkin spice creamer out. And I said to Garrett, I'm a little nervous. I said, is this leftovers from last year, or is this like super early for this year? It's early for this year. So cheers. I've got my pumpkin spice coffee creamer. I am super happy. I love it. It's delicious. I could drink it all year round. So let's get into the DNF first, like I said. So first off, I did DNF a book, as I said. The book that I DNF'd was Dreaming at Seaside by Addison Cole. It's the second book in the Seaside series that she does. It is a Sweet with Heat. Anyway, so I had a couple of issues with this, and I talked about this in my TBR video. One of my biggest issues with this series is the whole side title of Sweet with Heat. So to me, I do love a sweet romance. There are some great authors that write sweet romances that I think are fantastic. If that's what you're into, if you like those kind of books, I definitely recommend that you check out the Harlequin Heartwarming line, because they are strictly sweet books. Very much like a Hallmark movie type of a scenario, where the most you're going to get is a kiss, and it usually maybe happens at the end. My issue with this is that I think that sweet label on there is really off-putting, because to me, like I said, a sweet book is like a Hallmark movie. You know, you're only getting like maybe a kiss at one point. These books, so these are actually rewrites. So for those of you who don't know, these books are all rewritten from books that Melissa Foster, who is Addison Cole, wrote, you know, however long ago, and she rewrote them to take out all the explicit sex along with all the swearing. Okay, that's fine. However, these books are still extremely spicy, in my opinion. These are not sweet in any shape or form. You know, I think they maybe should have been labeled as they turned down the spice on these. Not sweet, not at all. And I know it says with heat, but you have to, it made me think, okay, maybe they're just a little, you know, you're getting a little stuff before the bedroom door gets closed. No, no, no. There is, now you're not getting the explicit scene that you'd be getting like open door kind of a scenario. However, these books, all they talk about is sex. That's what it seemed like to me, like from the beginning of the book. There's no alluding to, there's no nothing. These are very spicy books. I mean, they're not as spicy as a Jill Shalvis, because you're getting those closed door scenes. However, you're getting everything leading up to the door being closed, if I can put it in that perspective for you guys. Along with a lot of innuendo, a lot of discussions, a lot of sex seems to drive these characters, and it's just not, it's not for me. It annoys me And I'll have to be honest, I have read Melissa Foster's books as well. I do have some of them because a lot of them go on sale. Like a lot of them are like for free and stuff, and I've picked them up for the Kindle. But I think at this point I've decided that this is just not an author for me. Neither one of these authors. I mean, it's the same person, but I think you know what I mean. And it really upsets me because these covers are just so cute. They're so pastel and so summer and so pretty. You look at this cover and you're expecting this really cute, sweet romance. And you're not getting that at all. You know, these are very, very spicy. And I'm someone who can read at either end of the spectrum. It doesn't bother me. Spicy, sweet, doesn't bother me. But when you're labeling something as something and it's not that, it's very disappointing because I know a lot of people, like a lot of you guys who watch this channel, a lot of friends that I have in the bookish community are just getting into romance, or romance isn't necessarily their thing, or, you know, they want to dip their toes into it. And I feel like if they saw this, they would think, oh, this is going to be like some cute, sweet little, and it's not. And it's disappointing. So this is my explanation, I guess. Now that I'm actually talking it out loud to you guys, clearly I don't have a lot of notes when I do these discussions, is that you can do spicy and you can do spicy well, right? And, you know, the spice is part of the story. And we recently on the podcast interviewed Lucy Monroe, and she was a delight to talk to. And she made such a good point about sex in books. And she said it should move the relationship along. Like there should be a point to it. It shouldn't just be there for the sake of being there. And I think with these books, that's what's bothering me, is that it's there for the sake of being there. It doesn't need to be there. They could have taken the relationship nice and slow and, you know, flirted and stuff like that. And I think it would have been a much better story because, you know, he would have had to show her how great a relationship or a commitment could be, you know, that it doesn't have to mean that you have to give up your dreams, that kind of an idea, right? But instead it was like, you know, let's get naked kind of an idea. So now that I've talked to that author and we've had that interview, she writes for the Presents line, by the way, Lucy Monroe, that it really made me start looking at the books I'm reading. When there is adult content in them, does it push the relationship forward? Does it make sense to have in there, or is it there just for the sake of being there? Does that make sense? So I think that's what my big issue with this book was. And I think with Melissa Foster's writing as well. She writes very much on the steamy side. So for any of you guys out there who love steam, go check out her books. You guys will probably love them. Give them a shot. But I've just decided that this is not an author for me. And the books that I do have are just, sadly, I'm not probably going to end up getting to. Maybe in a few years I'll go back to one. But for now, I think I'm putting this author aside, and that's okay. So let's get on to the 6 books that I did finish this week. So the first book that I finished this week was on audio, but I do have a physical copy of it. Unfortunately, it's got this ugly sticker from Walmart, pardon me, that I can't peel off. I have tried. You can clearly see I have tried. So the first book that I read was The Lost Apothecary, and this was by Sarah Penner. I gave this book 5 stars, you guys. I absolutely loved this so, so much. So thank you very much to NetGalley and Park Row Books for sending me an ER copy of this one to read and review. Clearly, I also have a physical copy, and I did listen to it on audio from my library. Sorry for the lighting in here. It looks like it's going to storm outside. This had a publication date of March of 2021. This is a historical fiction novel, but I would almost put a little bit of a magical realism, little bit, spin on it. And this was narrated on audio by Lorna Bennett, Lauren Anthony, and Lauren Irwin. So, gosh, you guys, this was so good. It was told in a dual timeline. And I don't want to give too much away because I actually went into this not knowing anything about it, really, other than it was like a historical fiction about a lost apothecary. So it's about our main character. It's about 3 main characters. 2 of them from the 1790s and our modern day character named Caroline. So she is on what was supposed to be like her wedding anniversary trip to London. And her husband have just split up. I won't get into everything that happened because a lot of the stuff is revealed as the book goes on. But she's on this holiday alone, essentially. And while she's there, she finds this vial, this jar, with this inscription on it, and she wants to know more. So she ends up, she originally was going to go to Oxford and study history, and then she met her husband, and those plans all changed. Again, all that gets revealed as you're reading through the book. And she finds out that there was this lost apothecary, this apothecary that, nobody's been able to find and stuff like that. So then it also jumps back to the 1790s to our two characters, Nyla and Eliza. And I think it's Nyla. And she is the owner of this apothecary. And it's not one that you would go to like, oh, I need help with this, or I'm ill, or somebody's ill, or something like that. No, it's like she's murdering people. Let's be real. It's potions, and not potions in the term of magical. However, like I said, there is a touch of magic in this, but most of the 99% of the stuff that she's using is actually herbs that will kill you, or kill a person who drinks it. Poisons, essentially, is what it is. And then she takes on this young girl named Eliza, ends up showing up at her shop, and there's something going on with Eliza, and she works at this very well-to-do woman's house, and this, well-to-do woman sends Eliza to go pick up this poison, essentially, and, all these things. There's a lot going on in this book, and it was really, really good. And there are sections, of course, where each time period kind of mirrors what's happening in the other one. And yeah, this was so, so good. And if you do get a chance to listen to it on audio, and if you're an audiobook reader, I highly recommend it because the narration on this was fantastic. The three women did a really good job for our three main characters. And it's not a terribly long book, but I really, really enjoyed this a lot. I don't know if this is it's her debut work. And I am really excited to see what else she writes, because I am definitely going to be checking it out in the future. The next book that I finished was Stolen to Wear His Crown by Marcella Bell. This book I gave 3.5 stars to. It is another NetGalley read, so thank you very much to NetGalley and Harlequin for sending me an e-art copy of this book to read and review. This is the first book in the Queen's Guard series. Harlequin presents novel number 3870, published originally in December of 2020, and it is a contemporary romance. So I think this is this author's first Harlequin. I know she has other published books out there, but this was her first Harlequin. So this one is the story of Mina, and Zane, I believe is how you say his name. And he is the king of some, small fake European country, as they are in these presents novels, and that's fine. And at the beginning of the book, she is applying for this position as like the king's, like, it would be an aide or something like that, but she's like a scientist. So she'd be what's the word I'm looking for? That his consultant, that he would consult her. And then after her little interview with Parliament, I guess it is, she gets like tackled to the ground by these SWAT team guys who drag her out, and she ends up immediately getting married. Well, it turns out that the two of them had been betrothed since before they were born. But the thing is like, he's the son of a king, and he is now the king because his father passed away. She is the daughter of like a farmer. Like, they could find no way that these two people ever actually met. So all that gets revealed as the story kind of unfolds as to why the two of them were betrothed to each other. And it was interesting. That's all I'm going to say is it was interesting. I was surprised. It's not anything that I would have ever thought of. Let's put it that way. This story was really good. I really liked it. I liked our main character of Mina. I thought that she was absolutely fantastic. She really did stand her ground on a lot of things, but a lot of things she knew now that she was queen were out of her control. Of course, it's about the two of them falling for each other. He is very much an alpha hero, which generally isn't normally my jam, but this one was, I liked it. There's some great scenes. They end up going to this like private island, and the plane crash lands, and they have to like walk through the forest, and that's where they really start to connect to each other, is when they're kind of thrown together, just the two of them, without the pomp and circumstance all around them. So yeah, at the end of the day, this was a good story. I liked it a lot. These are fun reads, and I liked it. It was a 3.5 star. A 3-star rating from me is a perfectly average rating. This one was entertaining and enjoyable and well written, and I am looking forward to reading more from this author as well. I'm looking forward to the next book in the series, because you do meet some of the characters from in this book that are going to be appearing later on, I'm assuming. The next book that I finished was The Sergeant's Matchmaking Dog by Carrie Nichols. I gave this one 4 stars. This is book number 5 in the Small Town Sweetheart series, Harlequin Special Edition novel number 2850. This has a publication date of July of 2021, so it is now out in your stores if you guys want to go ahead and pick it up. Sorry, excuse me very much, just for a second. Sorry about that. And it's a contemporary romance, clearly. So this is the story of Addie and Gabe. This was so cute. So this is the 5th book in the series, but you do not have to have read the other books. So I have read the first book in the Small Town Sweetheart series. I did order, and no, I've read book 1 and book 4. So I read the one that came just before this one as well. And I had books 2 and 3 ordered from Thrift Books. They've never shown up. So I'm assuming someone at Canada Post is reading them. And if you are reading my books, could you just send them my way when you're done? I'm probably just going to go ahead and grab them on ebook. But I do want to read the other 2 in this series because it's a really delightful series. So it takes place in a small town in Vermont and called Loon Lake in Vermont. Sorry guys, I thought I had turned off my notification for my medication, but clearly I did not. I just got notified to take my multivitamins. Oh, good Lord. Anyway, back to this book. So it's the story of Addie and Gabe. And Gabe is former military. He has just arrived home from serving overseas. And he had a very bad experience when he was over there with a very good friend of his was killed in an attack. He survived and literally was because of the flip of a coin. I don't want to give too much away because, again, it's like a lot of the things, like you find these things out as you're reading the book. So I don't want to give too much away going into it. But this friend of his in Afghanistan, I think it was, he had this dog, the dog on the front. Dog's name is Radar. And he's not a military dog. He's just a dog. I think that they like adopted or something. And the friend taught him all these different things and like shake paw and like, you know, taught him a lot, right? So Gabe brought the dog home, went through all the red tape of bringing him back to the U.S. and the 2 of them are back home in Loon Lake. And they're living in one half of a duplex. On the other side of that, the duplex, is Addie and her younger brother, what's his name? Teddy. I'm like, is it Timmy? Is it? It's Teddy. And she has custody, or she's trying to get custody of her younger brother. They share the same mother, but they have different fathers. And her mother has been kind of in and out of rehab, in and out of jail. Not the best mother figure, so Addie's trying to get full custody of him. And the little boy kind of falls in love with the dog. And it's the dog and the little boy that kind of bring the 2 of them together. And it is super, super adorable. I love this one a lot. A lot of great talk in this book about guilt and how guilt can really change the way you think about yourself and the way you live your life for yourself and for other people. Addie feels very guilty about something that happened to her brother when she was off at college. She feels guilty that she left him, knowing what her mother could have done or how her mother wouldn't have been paying attention to him. And it was at that point that something bad happened to him. And then Gabe with the guilt of that coin toss with his friend. And, you know, really great book. I love this one a lot. Like I said, it was a 4-star, probably bordering on a 4.5. This is definitely probably more of a 4.5 star read. Not quite a 5, but close enough. Really enjoyable. I highly recommend that you guys pick it up. It was so, so good. The next one that I finished was Stacey's Choice by Ann M. Martin. I gave this book 3 stars. It is Babysitter's Club book number 58, publication date of October of 1992, and this is, of course, a middle grade fiction novel. In this story, Stacey's mom gets sick with pneumonia, and her father ends up having this very important dinner that he's being honored by his company. And he wants Stacey to go as his date, kind of an idea, back to New York City because her parents are divorced. So the choice that she's trying to make is, does she go to New York with her dad, or does she stay in Stony Brook with her mom and help make her better? And then all these things kind of fall apart. And it's a great way to show. I thought this book would be really good for kids who are from a divorced household, to show that you don't need to be everything for everybody. And I think that's just a good message in general as well. You know, all of these Babysitter's Club books kind of have that underlying you know, this is what you should take away from it. And I think that's definitely what it is. And, you know, Stacey and her mom have this whole sit down saying, you know, we are the adults, not you, you know, like you do what makes you happy, kind of an idea. You don't have to worry about us. We can take care of ourselves, and you don't have to make everybody happy because you're not going to be able to make everybody happy. So yeah, it was a cute story. Again, a 3-star read. I'm enjoying this series, my reread through it, as I say every time. The next one that I finished, unfortunately, was my least favorite book of the whole month, was Anywhere With You by Heather Lee Bell. I gave this one 2.5 stars. It's book 3.5 in the Starlight Hill series. It has a publication date of November of 2015, and it is a contemporary romance, and it is a novella. So this is on me. Not fully the book's fault. Actually, I would say more this is on me, like, than the book. Because I read a Heather Lee Bell last week, and I loved it. And the writing in this one was great. The issue is that when it comes to contemporary romance series, you can oftentimes jump in and out of series, in and out of books, and still kind of understand what's happening. With the novellas, however, they are typically characters you have already met and seen a lot about, which is why they have they can now do a novella, because you should know a lot about these characters, and I did not. So our main characters in these stories were Callie and Joe, and he is a former U.S. pilot, and he's back home, and at the very beginning of the story, he ends up in this like plane crash, and he's okay. He was flying like a little 2-seater plane, and he ended up in a crash. So the two of them used to be friends with benefits, and when she hears the news, she rushes back to this small town called Starlight Hill, to, you know, kind of help make him better, kind of an idea. It was a very short book. I think it came in at under 200 pages. I just felt like I was missing way too much to really enjoy this story. It felt like I came into the story halfway through, essentially. But again, that is on me, not the author. I do want to start this series at the beginning. I believe they're all available on Kindle Unlimited, and read through them that way. And then I might have more appreciation for this one. But as it stands, pretty much my recommendation is don't read this one out of order. Read the rest of the series. And is this the last one? And the last book that I finished this week, you guys, was Guardian in the Storm by Carla Cassidy. I gave this one 4 stars. Thank you again to NetGalley and Harlequin for sending me an e-arc copy of this book to read and review. This is book number 6 in the Colton 911 Chicago series. Harlequin romantic suspense novel number 2139. Publication date, again, July 2021, so it is now out in your stores. And this is, of course, a romantic suspense. So this is the story of Simone and Brad. So Simone had, before the story began, her father and her uncle were both murdered. And the person who murdered them, they think it's these two, like, teenagers, these 2 kids. And the one kid has been arrested, but the other one, they can't find him. So he's kind of on the run. And the father of the boy who was arrested, of course, believes his son is innocent of these crimes, and he is actually helping the other kid. I say kid, but they're like 19 years old. Evade the police, essentially. So Simone's trying to find out what happened to her dad and her uncle, and Brad is an FBI agent who is of course, looking into the case. Simone is a psychologist. So the two of them, she ends up starting to get some threats on her life, and Brad takes her to this remote cabin, of course, about 5 hours away from Chicago to try and keep her safe, And of course, while they're there, the boy who's, you're getting a lot of the perspective from the actual killer. So it's not like I'm giving whole chunks of this book away. He's found them. He knows where they are. And he's heading there, and there's this massive storm that's going to hit. So that's the premise of this story. And guys, it was so good. Carla Cassidy is so fantastic at these books. And these Colton books are some of my favorites. I mean, the family tree is just unbelievable. These books have been written for about 20 years, these Colton books. So if you enjoy this one, definitely you have a ton to go back to. There are offshots, like this one is a Colton 911 Chicago. There was a Colton 911 series. There is a crazy amount of series that are out there for the Coltons. And yeah, just do a little bit of searching and you will find lots of stuff. But I absolutely recommend this one. Again, it's 6 in the series, but I read this one out of order. I did not read the previous 5 books. Completely read as a standalone. If you love romantic suspense, you need to check this one out. really, really enjoyable. So that is everything that I have read this week, you guys. Yay. So what am I currently reading? So I did DNF that Addison Cole story. So right now I've got 3 books on the go. I am listening to on audio Mother May I by Joshilyn Jackson. This is a domestic thriller. That's all I want to tell you guys because I knew nothing about this book going in. It's really good, you guys. It is really, really good. I have read Joshilyn Jackson before. I think it was called, it was like something else like from a nursery rhyme. It sounded like, do you know what I mean? I can't remember the title. I'll try and remember to put the title right here when I'm editing. But yeah, a domestic thriller. That's all I want to tell you. It's really good. It is being narrated by the author, and she's not doing a bad job. I have to admit, she's doing a pretty good job. So I am enjoying that one quite a bit. And then I am also trying to read Naughty Brits by Sarah McLane, Sophie Jordan, Louisa Edwards, Tessa Gratton, and Sierra Simone. So when I say trying to read, I started this book on the 1st of July, and I literally got 26 pages of the way through it. What happened, and the reason why I knew I had to DNF that Dreaming at Seaside book, is because I didn't want to read that one. I got to the point where it's like, I don't want to read that. And like, that happened on Friday and it happened yesterday. And then because of that, I was like, well, now I'm just not in the mood to pick up anything. I don't know if you guys are the same. Like, if there's a book that you're not enjoying, you don't want to pick up anything else either. And I just wasn't in the, like, I'm like, this part of my brain was like, but you need to read some of this and then you can pick up this. And because I didn't even want to read that, I wasn't picking this up. So now I am. I do have page markers for how far I want to get each day because I want to get this done. This is a chunky book. It's 570 pages, but already at 26 pages in, guys, I am loving this. So these are 5 novellas written by these authors, and they are, and I believe, I know Sophie Jordan and Sarah McLane for sure. I don't know about Sierra Simone and the other 3 authors. I'm familiar with Sierra Simone's name, and Louisa Edwards as well. I don't know if they all write historical, but I know definitely Sarah and Sophie do. And these are contemporary romances about British guys. And the first story, Sarah McLane's story, what is it called? Does it give me a title? A Duke Worth Falling For, is pretty much about this woman who is a celebrity photographer. She had a fall from grace, and she is on this ducal land, if you will, this land owned by a duke, and she's never met him. She has no idea who he is. It's a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend who knows the duke's sister, and she's allowing her to stay in this like little cottage on the property. So she runs into the duke, doesn't know that it's him, and so it's kind of a mistaken identity. She thinks that he's just a farm worker. So far it's really good. I mean, Sarah McLane is an absolute favorite of mine. I mean, I'm starting off, like, the whole reason I picked this book up was because of Sarah McLane and Sophie Jordan. And their 2 books are first, or their 2 stories are first. So I'm really hoping I like the rest of them as well. So yeah, so far I am enjoying this one, and I hope to get this one done by the end of the week. And then lastly, I am reading another Babysitters Club book, of course. I am reading Mallory Hates Boys and Gym, which I think is book number 59 in the series, and I've never been a fan of the Mallory stories or the Jessie stories, mainly because of their age. I think about it now, they're the same age as my niece, and I love my niece to pieces, but it just seems so, pardon me, it just seems so young, you know what I mean? And they've always been a little bit more immature, and even back when I was a kid, I wasn't a fan of reading their stories. So anyway, that's a thing. It's about Mallory hating boys and hating Jim. She's 11 years old. That's usually the way these things go. So anyway, you guys, that is all that I have for today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.